Boom. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? It's a new day. It's a fresh day. I hope you're up, shaking, and baking.
Mm.
I always say that all my guests in the podcast are amazing people. Of course, they say like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, energy attracts the right energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw Purpose-led podcast on Instagram, and I love the energy of the podcast. I was like, yo, I need to have a conversation with the host of the podcast. So yeah, I am today with Mr. Jonathan Reid. And I like the name of his business, Re-Identity. Very, very creative way of using words.
Very close. Very close. Very close. Re-identify. Re-identify.
Yeah, sorry, re-identify. I like it. I
There
like
we
that.
go.
So,
Yeah.
Jonathan, what inspired you to fall in love with the genre of podcasting? What happened to you?
Well, when it comes to podcasting, it wasn't even on purpose. Like we didn't even do this on purpose. And funnily enough, our podcast is called
Hmm.
Purpose Led, but we didn't actually fall into
A
it or
man
get
on
into
purpose
it on
didn't do something
purpose.
on purpose. Very good.
There we go. We didn't even do it on purpose, but it
Yeah.
was purposeful. Like there was a reason behind why we did it. So it wasn't really like we didn't like coordinate it for that to be the case. But it ended
Yeah.
up being the case anyway, and it's helped us to follow our purpose. But the way we actually started was it was in lockdown. You remember lockdown times? I remember lockdown
Yes,
times. I'm not sure if you
2020.
were in Lagos at that time. 2020. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
I was in
Um,
Lagos in lockdown.
okay, you were lucky. Well, I'm not
Yes.
sure how it was over there, but I know how it was over here. So we were all inside, and at that period of time, there was an app called Clubhouse. Do you remember Clubhouse?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So Clubhouse was doing its thing. A lot of people were using it, and then we got into Clubhouse, me and Rob separately, and then we were thinking these conversations, they don't really serve us. Like these people are talking about who should pay on the first date, who should do this, that, the other, things that just didn't really interest us. We were more so interested in mindset. We were interested in personal development. We were
Yeah.
interested in things in books. We were interested in. I just started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow
Okay.
Rich. All these different kind of books which would actually develop my mindset, and Atomic Habits. That one book
Mm-hmm.
in particular, that's a big book for me.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert started to do the same thing. He started to listen to podcasts too. So we started
Yeah.
speaking about things that actually mattered. And then
Yeah.
after we started speaking about things that mattered, we said, why don't we bring this to Clubhouse? We brought it to Clubhouse, started to build an audience. The audience said, this is great. This is amazing. But if I'm not here, I miss it. And it's like, you can't record Clubhouse rooms. Like, it didn't actually
Yeah.
allow you to. So they were
Yeah.
like, okay, you guys should make a podcast. And we were like, should we? Rob was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. So we made the podcast. And fast forward now, we're in the top 5% most shared podcast globally. We do like frequent events in London, probably going to be stretching out to the rest of the UK as well pretty soon. We speak in schools, universities, and corporates about the topic of purpose, mindset, and personal development. So, yeah, a lot has happened in that time.
Wow, that's fascinating. Fascinating. So I saw a study that says that that there's around 2 million podcasts globally. And the second interesting fact is that 90% of podcasts do not survive beyond their third episode. That means
Mm.
that there are 1.8 million podcasts that quit as soon as they start.
Yeah, yeah.
What kept you going? What kept you guys going?
Primarily, I mean, I'll be very honest, Paul. We had a lot to say. We really did have a lot to say. So it's like, okay, well, we do one episode and then what? No, we have more to say. So let's say more of it, right? And we'd already
Yeah.
got into that flow of consistency with the clubhouse rooms. So
Mm-hmm.
we were doing a clubhouse room every single week. So all it was now was just a podcast every single week instead of the clubhouse rooms. So we just kept up that consistency. It was the consistency that separated us. And
Mm.
understanding consistency beforehand and understanding that consistency breeds results. We knew we weren't going to get it off like that
Mm.
because on Clubhouse we
Mm.
saw that we weren't going to get it off like that. On Clubhouse we realized, okay, cool. You start off, there's 3 people in a room. It's like a group chat. It's like just a
Mm-hmm.
couple of people talking, right? Maybe one
Mm-hmm.
person listening. And
Mm-hmm.
then a couple of weeks later, you got 10 people in the room. A couple of weeks later, you got 30. A couple of weeks later, you got
Yeah.
100. So we understand that things compound, and
Mm-hmm.
compounding only takes place when you have consistency. So we
Yeah.
understood we had to just have that consistency. And another thing as well is there were what we like to call destiny helpers. So people that
Mm.
told us on the way, oh, this is amazing, keep it up, this is helping me so much. There was this
Mm-hmm.
one message, Paul, we got, which just probably put another year in us to keep going. It
Mm.
was this one guy, he said, I might not have been around had it not been for you guys and your podcast. And that's that's serious. Like we took that one very seriously,
Wow.
because if we're
It's
having that kind of an
powerful.
impact on someone and they say that to us, imagine if imagine the impact we're having on people that don't even want to say anything like that, or
Mm.
don't want to DM us, and can't DM us even because some people are so shy. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, cool. If this is what we're hearing from the people that do want to DM us, imagine all the people that have been affected by us, but they just will never say it. So
Mm-hmm.
why stop now?
Mm. 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 This is so powerful. So powerful. Extremely powerful. So someone once said that crisis activates innovation.
Mm,
So if not for the pandemic, you would have been going on the trajectory of your life to that time. Ryan Holiday
yeah,
said that the
yeah.
obstacle is the way.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
obstacle
That's
of
powerful.
the pandemic that
Yeah.
triggered. That means all along, the
Hmm.
capacity to influence people with your voice on the pod has always been with you.
Yeah.
But it took the crisis to activate it. So you should be grateful to the crisis, to the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Definitely,
100%.
definitely. Even in that time pool, other things happened as well. Otother things happened as well. So the
I
good thing
tell you,
about it
man,
as
so
well,
powerful.
I there was so many things happened there.
That's interesting. So what's your creative process like? Because a lot of people go on
Mm.
this creative journey, right? They do the first
Mm-hmm.
episode, they do the first YouTube video, they do the first Instagram video, or they do the third one, and then they stop. And I always tell people
Mm.
that great books are not written, they are assembled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are assembled. Uh, So I'm currently reading
Mm.
a book by a guy called Robert Caro. He was the one that wrote a book called The Ascent of Power,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and it's a biography of Lyndon Johnson, the president that took over when President Kennedy was assassinated. This guy did
Right.
a research for
Okay.
7 years to write the book. So it's a combination of
Wow.
research. You get me? The book is a
Mm-hmm.
bestseller. It's been selling for over 40 years. So it ties to the fact that great books are not written; they are assembled. So I said that to
Right.
say this: that what's your
Mm.
process like in coming together in
Mm-hmm.
putting out such a great show as the Purpose Podcast? Because some people may look at you and say, "How do you get all these ideas? What's your process
Mm-hmm.
like?" Yeah.
Well, Paul, I mean, simply, I would say this one quote that I love so much is you turn into what you tune into. And the reason I say that,
Oh, you can say that again, brother. I don't think they heard you.
I will say it again. I'll say it a little bit louder too.
Oh
You
my
turn into
God,
what
this
you
feels
tune
like
into.
church.
Let me hear someone say amen.
Amen. I tell you, man.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's what I realized, because I realized when you absorb a particular type of content, so you are what you eat, right? That's what we've been taught
Yeah.
since we were so young.
Yeah.
When you absorb a particular type of content, you become that type of content. This stuff comes out of you naturally. So whenever I have a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody now, it's all the stuff that I've read. It's all about the consistency, like we just said earlier. It's about
Yeah.
building on yourself 1% every single day so that you're better over a particular period of time. It's about all
Yeah.
the business books that I've read. Why is it that I run a business? I take in all of this business content. Of course, I'm going to run a business. Why is it that I'm in a marketing space? Because I take in all this marketing stuff. Of course, I'm going to be in a marketing space. You
Yeah.
turn into what you tune into. So my process is like, I take in these podcasts, I take in these books. Literally, I have multiple books here right now. A book I'm looking at right now, I can see it. It's a book about YouTube and expanding and growing on YouTube, because that's
Hmm.
an area that we want to grow in terms of the podcast, and I want to help my
Yeah.
clients with in terms of my business too. I got Alex Hormozy book in my bag that I just brought to the gym. I just came back from the gym now.
Mm.
Even gym stuff. Paul, my feed is full of gym business marketing. So why is it that my life revolves around gym business marketing? Because you turn into what
Mm.
you tune into. So that is my
Yeah.
creative process. I just take in the stuff that I want to put out, because
That's
your inputs
powerful.
determine your outputs. I take in the stuff that I
That's
want to put out.
powerful.
So that's my creative process, because whatever I take in, I'm just going to regurgitate it in
That's
a
right.
way that sounds like me. I'm just going to put my spin
Mm.
on it, because
Mm.
ultimately you're just being inspired by people and you're just passing along a message. There's nothing new
Yeah.
under the sun.
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun, Paul. You're just passing on a message at the end of the
That's
day, but just
powerful.
in your way. because not everybody's going to be able to understand how Alex Hormozy said it. Not everybody's going to be able to understand how
That's right.
who's another author, Robert Greene has said it, but they can
Yeah.
understand how Jonathan Reid has said it. They can
Yeah.
understand how Paul Foer has said it.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very powerful. Like someone's like I always say sometimes that there are no new messages, there are only new messengers.
Hey, I like that, Paul. I like that, Paul. I like that. Yes, yes,
There are only
indeed.
new messengers because we find out
Mm-hmm.
that when you read a bit about history, you just realize that it's just a playbook that we're using. There is nothing new.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
David Ogilvy, the founder of Ogilvy and Ogilvy and Mather, the big advertising company, in his book Confessions of
Mm-hmm.
an Advertising Man, everything that we're doing today, that book was written in 1948. Everything that we're doing today, right, bro?
Yeah,
It did do things in the 40s and in the 50s. All this marketing stuff we're doing, they've been doing
it's
it.
all there. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's nothing new under the sun. I like what you just said, that the input basically determines the output. So, Jonathan,
absolutely.
as a segue to as an addition to what you said, I
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this documentary on Netflix called Chef's Table.
Okay.
It's about some of the best chefs in the world that they interviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this guy who they consider to be the best pizza place in the world, in somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
The guy said that he plants his own ingredients. He does his own soil by himself. He said
Mm.
the reason is because the input of the material
Mm.
affects the output. I shouted.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
But that's exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
You consume content around gym stuff, about marketing
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and that's why you produce this. So I want you to speak to
Absolutely.
that person that they are wondering why their feed is full of naked women.
Yes,
Or the result that
I've
they are
spoken to a couple of them.
producing.
Yes,
Exactly. So it
yes.
is the input that is determining
Mm-hmm.
the output. Wow,
Absolutely,
this is this
absolutely.
this is this is powerful. Jonathan, how do you monetize podcasts? Because some people are about the money. They're saying to me, if I'm going to do all of this,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to make money from this? How am I going to take care
Absolutely,
of my
it's
family with
understandable.
this? Yeah,
It's understandable. I
yeah,
completely understand why someone would say that because it's a long-term thing. It's a long-term play.
yeah,
So you want to be able to see some long-term money, and hopefully, if you
yes,
can, some short-term, mid-term money too.
yeah,
So
yes.
there's multiple ways, Paul, to monetize a podcast. Way number one, I'll take you through. Okay, I'll first take you through the way that we do it through Purpose Led. Then I'll take you through the way that
Okay,
we do it with my clients. So essentially,
okay,
what I do, just for some context, is I run a personal branding and podcasting agency. So I help B2B businesses to grow their personal brands, or the founders and leaders in a B2B business grow their personal brands, and then the whole business grow their podcast. And then we
yeah,
essentially automate it for them. So they just record, we put it out there. That's essentially what it is,
good,
simply put. But I'll tell you both ways, like how I monetize for them and how I monetize for Purpose Led as well. So for
good,
Purpose Led, the way that we've monetized is, well, we've done it in multiple ways. Number one, we do events. So we've actually built, number one, we built a community. That's probably a better number one. We built a community. So when you build a community, all a community is attention, and attention that actually understands you, attention that actually wants to spend time with you, attention that wants to know you, wants to get to know you deeper. So anything that you sell that community, they're most likely going to buy, or they will be more likely to buy than people that don't know you. So
mm-hmm.
we built a community around the podcast, around the Instagram and such, and the TikTok as well. And then we said, okay, let's give them a product. Let's start doing events. So we started doing events and we're making money from that. And after the events, we said, okay, cool. Let's do, what can we do? What can we do? We could do workshops too. So not just live
Mm,
podcast events, we could do workshops. So we started doing
mm-hmm.
workshops and we started doing master classes, teaching them skills like personal branding, also confidence as well. And we
Mm-hmm.
started charging higher ticket for those because there were specific skills and it was only a small room.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways to monetize the podcast. Of course, you've got merch, which I would recommend. I would recommend merch if you have a bigger operation, or if you have a smaller operation. I would recommend you doing what's it called now? Print on demand. That's POD, print on demand,
Mm,
which is
mm-hmm.
essentially you someone orders it and it gets printed and you never have to see it. You don't have to handle stock,
Very good,
because one of
very
the
good.
longest parts about doing merch for your uh, company or your brand is the holding the stock, or buying the stock, holding it, and then shipping it out. That's the longest part. but you can get around that with POD services, print on demand. That's another way to monetize a podcast. And also, if you're in a specific industry, in a specific niche, you can make a course around what you do. So
That's
a
right.
digital course, a digital product.
That's right.
And what I like to call digital products are, and it's not just a course as well. You can do ebooks, you can do PDF documents, which would help people in whatever way. You can do some sort of a like a what's the word? Like some sort of a checkbox sheet, just so they can work out something. I don't know if you're a
Yeah.
financial planner, giving them some
Yeah.
sort of financial planning framework. You
Yeah.
can, what I like to call of these things are set and forget systems. All you need to do is put them on your website, direct traffic to them, and leave it, and then they'll just send
Mm.
money to your bank account. That's the courses. That's
Mm.
all the digital products, right? Also, when it comes to podcasts and monetizing podcasts, you can also monetize your voice. So
Mm.
being a speaker. So that's what me and Rob do as well. We're speaking, we speak in
Very good.
universities. We get paid to speak in schools as well. We're going to get paid to speak in corporates as well. But obviously, that one. Well, I mean, we've been speaking in corporates, but that play is growing as we speak, and things are
Mm.
developing as we speak. But then that
Very good.
also always comes down to networking. It always comes
Yeah.
down to networking, Paul. That's a big one
Yeah.
too. And in terms of my clients, how we monetize for them is we get them more leads and we get them higher quality leads. So the thing
Mm.
is with B2B businesses, a lot of my clients are SaaS companies, right?
Mm.
So B2B businesses, they want more leads. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
it's understandable. And to them, a lead may cost more or have a higher value than a
Yeah.
lead of a B2C business, because
Yeah.
B2B, business to business, bigger paychecks than B2C, because that's
Mm-hmm.
direct to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we increased their lead flow. One of my clients recently, she said the podcast delivers about 10 to 20% of their lead flow for their business. That's big,
Hmm.
Paul. That's big.
How
And
many percent again?
furthermore, 10 to 20% of their lead flow.
Whoa.
That's big
Whoa.
for an organic channel. For an organic channel, that's very big.
That's a lot.
So and then when people are getting onto sales calls now, they're asking for the host of the podcast. They're saying, "Oh, can I speak to X? Can I speak to X? Like, why? Like, I want to speak to X." And she's
So
like,
good.
"Oh, but I'm here doing the podcast, this, that, and the other." And then now that's opened a door for her to do consultancy. As the host of the podcast, she can now do consultancy to the new clients of the B2B business. So, yeah, it helps to develop your relationship with the audience, and as I said, build a community. And then whenever you sell something to that community, they'll be more likely to buy. And it will improve the quality of the leads. It will improve the readiness to buy of the leads as well. A lot of the time, when it comes to this podcast, one of my clients, for example, this one in particular, she just drops in different things that the B2B business does. And then when people will get on these sales calls now, they're basically already pre-sold. They're already
Yeah.
pre-sold because they've already heard all the benefits from all of the podcasts.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, where
Yeah.
do I sign up?
Yeah.
Like, how much? How much? Let me just send the money. So
Yeah.
that's a couple of ways to monetize. I'm sure there's more that I forgot, but that's just off the top of my head.
Wow. We're going to continue this conversation in a second, but I just want to talk about our sponsor for this episode of the Paul Fo podcast. Now, this episode of the Paul Fo podcast was powered by VPay. VPay is a
Mm-hmm.
fintech bank in Nigeria. It's a bank, it's a fintech bank in Nigeria. And you are a small business owner, you're watching this or you're listening to this. One of the biggest problems that you have is when your clients transfer money to your account and you don't get the credits alert immediately. Or maybe you're not in the city or you're not in that environment and your staff says, "Oh, I've got to see the evidence of payment before I give you the product." But with VPay, you don't need that anymore. Your staff gets a special link. Your staff will see the evidence of payment, but they won't see the balance of your business account, right? So that's the problem that VPay is solving for you. So I want you to open a VPay bank account today. You click on the link in the show notes. You have a special link with me. If you open your account right now, you get 1,000 naira deposited into your account instantly. All right. So VPay is growing and we're all growing. Thank you very much. All right. So let's continue our conversation with Mr. Jonathan.